Sorry, John, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm just taking a look. We're at the top of the hour. In fact, we may be 1 minute past, so I'll go ahead and begin. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'm going to share my screen. Can someone just confirm that you can see the screen? It should say, Take Us Blue, Precinct Organizer, Get-Out-To-Caucus, Outreach Campaign Kickoff.
Yep, we see it.
It does. Okay. So my name is John. Amy Pascal, our county party first vice chair, and Cindy Carr, our county party secretary, and I are going to provide an overview and basically a kickoff to what we're calling Get-Out-To-Caucus, which is the effort that we will do between now and Saturday, March 5th to get folks to caucus. So what I'll begin is with our agenda. I'm going to provide, this is not a presentation to go over all of the details of everything that is going to happen in caucus. We've got some other venues for that. We've got websites for that. But I'm going to hit the highlights because what we really want to get to is what you can do in your precinct and in your efforts to get the word out. And we'll include some outreach campaign details. And then for those who want more, we're going to talk about study hall opportunities that we'll have coming up so you can get additional insight, ask questions, and that kind of thing. Okay, so caucus overview. The first thing that is probably the most important thing to bear in mind is that caucus has changed this year. People now participate in two ways. The state legislature changed the law and said that caucuses can be all virtual, they can be all in person, or that they can be a hybrid of the two. In other words, in person and virtual married together. And in El Paso County, we have decided that hybrid is the way we're going to pursue. It's the most inclusive way we believe to have caucus, and it will expand opportunities for others who may not be able to attend in person or may not feel comfortable attending in person, while at the same time, for those who do want to attend in person, will have that opportunity. So what does that mean? Well, we're using a new technology, new to us, called Zoom Events, and it is a Zoom platform that's kind of a step up from the Zoom that you have already seen. It has, that you're probably used to is what I want to say. It has a lot of the same look and feel, but it has some differences. For instance, you can't get through the browser to get to it. You have to actually get the link that you'll be sent and download the app on your laptop. Now, we're going to have more specific training on how to use Zoom Events. It is fairly intuitive. It doesn't mean you have to attend this training in order to know how to use it. But for those that want, we'll have that available. We'll have more about that. There will be no paper. Everything is moving to electronic. And that will enable us to be able to include the virtual aspect. Now, there's also an in-person aspect. So we have 8 in-person sites that are designated based upon the precinct that the person lives in. And they must attend the specific location that ties to their precinct. And we'll talk about how they're going to know that. Now, one of the things we've done is we've taken all precincts that are in the same state house district, and we've clustered them together under one roof. So for instance, if you know that you are in House District 20, even if you don't know your new precinct number, that's okay, as long as you know you're in House District 20 and that information is already available, even though all of the websites don't have the new precincts populated. But the bottom line on the left-hand side, this is going to be an event where virtual and in-person are together. We're not just talking about live streaming an in-person event. There'll be people who are fully participating, speaking, even people who are officiating these meetings who are participating virtually. There'll be two-way communication so that people who are in the room, they have to talk into the microphone, which is connected into the Zoom event, can be heard by people who are participating virtually, and vice versa. Everybody who's participating virtually, you'll be projected on a screen, and the people who are attending in person can see you. So that's really the world we're entering into as we come out of where we've been over the last 2 years, and we move to kind of marrying up that in person with the virtual in this hybrid. Okay, so that's on the left-hand side. Now, there's also some things that are different from the past. Basically, Colorado Democratic Party has relaxed a lot of rules and given us more flexibility to simplify caucus in order to really do what people need to do in this virtual world. So what's going to happen at caucus? Well, we're going to hear from local candidates, and we're going to focus locally here. So that will be everything from the congressional candidates down to the county level offices and the state legislative offices. We're going to select delegates to the county assembly. Now, the executive committee is reviewing the final recommendations from the PTO, but the recommendations of our permanent organization committee is that within the technical constraints of the capacity of the technology, everybody who attends caucus, who desires to be a delegate to county assembly, will be able to, within the limits that we can afford from the technology. And we'll explain that a little further. But the bottom line is there is no lead office that's used to determine where delegates, who delegates are. So if you're interested in being a delegate, show up at caucus, express an interest in being a caucus. You don't have to commit to any candidate. You don't have to commit to even indicate a lead candidate. If you're there, we want absolute full participation. You can go to the county assembly. Now, the other thing is we'll be collecting inputs to the state and county platforms. There'll already be a draft of the state platform that is published, and we'll be collecting inputs from that. We won't be having precinct level votes on specific planks. This information will be collected, forwarded to the state, forwarded to our own platform committee, and then sent to the assembly. The next bullet, we're looking for precinct organizers. Now, when we have, we will only have a precinct level breakout if we have to, because there are more than 2 people who sign up for a precinct. In cases where there's 2 or less, and I think everybody on this call knows, we can have 2 precinct organizers per precinct. And we have many other party officers, many other party committees. We have orphan precincts that you can adopt, be assistant precinct organizer. So if you want a place in the party, we'll find one for you. And only in those cases where we have, more than 2 people, and we can't resolve it between the group, then we'll actually have a breakout session to determine. We'll be providing some information on how you can become an election judge. Election judges are paid positions, temporary positions by the clerk and recorder, and each of the major political parties are required to provide lists to the clerk and recorder's office to fill those election judges' positions. And then lastly, we'll have opportunities to speak from the floor. We're going to have to time limit it, but the intent is, as much as physically possible, to give everybody an opportunity to speak for 1 minute on any topic that they want to. And that can be to support a candidate, on a platform item, or any other item that relates to the party that you want to talk about. That's a high-level overview of what caucus is. Now, what is it? What is the Get-Out-To-Caucus? Very simply, here are the 4 steps that we all need to do to get people to caucus. Number 1, we need to spread the word to people, okay? We need to get out the word in every way we can. You'll see on the left-hand side, we have a list of things that are going on. precinct level efforts, party lit drop. We have a centralized party lit drop that I'll talk about briefly, where we have some select mailers to recent Caucus goers and strong Democrats. We're using social media extensively, a text service, and we do have some paid limited to budget. We have some limited paid electronic ads. Now I've got the precinct efforts bolded here because that's what we're focused on today and what Amy and Cindy will be covering. But as you're spreading the word, what's the most important thing to get people to do? Convince them to come to caucus and get them to go to this website, the party website, and get them to do it today. It's shown here. Amy is going to show you a little more about that later, but basically the first step is to sign up. You will indicate your intention if you want to be in person or virtual. And it's very important because we're trying to manage this with this hybrid situation to get the right people in the right place. Early sign up is going to be key. So encourage your neighbors, encourage your fellow Democrats to sign up early by going to that website. Amy will show you the form. Now, when a person signs up, they're going to get an email back. They're going to get an automated email that comes right back that says, thank you very much. We'll get back to you with more information. And then within a day or two, they're going to get another email with instructions. Those instructions will basically be one of three types. If you had asked to go in person, it's going to tell you where you need to go. It's going to tell you you belong to precinct number, which is part of this House District cluster. And the location where you need to go is Horizon Middle School, because that is the site for all of the precincts that are in House District 15, for example. So if you indicated that you're going to go in person, that email instruction that's going to come back will tell you where to go. If you indicated that you want to participate virtually, then you're going to get information on how to register, because the first thing you did was to sign up. Now you need to actually register with Zoom events. And it is intuitive, but it's a little bit different than the normal Zoom. You have to make sure that you're registering with the same email that you're going to use on the day of the event. And then you've got to have the actual Zoom client app loaded on your desktop. You won't be able to come through the browser. And as I mentioned before, keep an eye out for more training around how to use Zoom events. Again, not required, but it might help you if you're not too familiar with the application. Or the third thing that email may say is, sorry, you're not a Democrat, you're not eligible. Now, if there's somebody thinks they are, we will be working with the clerk and recorder's office to resolve that. And then finally, step 4, people attend caucus. The doors open up and people can begin to join virtually at 1 p.m. We're asking them to arrive. Everybody, please arrive by 1:30. We will have some virtual rooms where you can look at things. It will be gaveled down at 2 p.m. So that is a one over the world on caucus highlights. And now I'll turn it over to Cindy to get more into the specifics around precinct level efforts. Cindy?
Hey, thank you, John. And as John introduced earlier, but for those that may not know me, my name is Cindy Carr. I'm currently the secretary for our local party. And I also work on PO admin. So I've met a lot of you, or certainly exchanged messages with you through that role. So I'm just going to take a few minutes, and John gave us a good overview of what's going on overall in the party. And we did think it was important that you understand some information about caucus in case you get those questions from voters in your precinct. But now we're going to move on to what can you do as a precinct organizer for the voters in your precinct. As John mentioned, it's very easy to attend this year. Those that prefer in person, we have the on-site, and we also have the virtual options. So we're hoping that will lead people to consider participating that maybe didn't in the past. And our goal is to reach out to every registered Democrat in El Paso County to let them know of caucus. And again, that's where our precinct organizers come in. You know, we as the party don't have the resources or the people, frankly, to do all that. So, you know, your role is important to the success of that goal. So, and also I want to remind before I talk specifically about tasks that we will provide assistance, which is the part Amy will go into after I'm done, to help you carry out these tasks. So you'll have the tools and the assistance you need to hopefully make this a easy process for you. So the kinds of things that we're looking at from our each of our precinct organizers is, and it's an and or kind of situation. Again, you know your precinct, you can figure out which options fit best for you and for those in your precinct. So you can do a lit drop of your own creation, and we're going to have some tools to help you create those if you choose to. You can text in your precinct, or you can do phone calls in your precinct. You can also choose who you want to prioritize. And I think Amy will also talk about that too. So you may want to look at people that are new to your neighborhood, or you may want to look at, you know, people that always come to caucus, because we want to make sure they know about this and want to make sure that they show up again. So you'll have lots of flexibility in creating an outreach that's particular to you and your skills and your area. The other part of that I want to remind people of, as we talked about earlier, that Amy's going to go over some of the tools, but we also will have study halls available. And that's a great opportunity to come forward with your particular question about your particular thing that you're trying to do. So we want to make sure that people use that tool. So let's go on to the next one on our slides. We want to prioritize too, that our message is come to caucus, right? That's our primary message. So some of the details that we think are important that you share with your voters are the what, why, who, when, and where, right? And so we've included this on this slide. We also have a mock-up of a document with the same information. So you don't have to copy all this down. We're going to have it available for you in a document that you can use. But the details, of course, are the Democratic Party of El Paso County, our caucus 2022, the why. And I think that's important to share with people. Caucus is a framework for our grassroots work that help us to win elections. And that's through precinct organizers, our delegates, our election judges, and the platform. So those are the main tasks that we need to accomplish in caucus. Who? It's all registered Democrats as of February 11th. So if you weren't already a registered Democrat, you do not have time to switch that. People might ask questions about that, but that is the cutoff for caucus. We have a list from the clerk and recorder's office in the county of all the Democrats as of that time frame. So we are able to confirm who's eligible and who's not. The when, of course, as John went over, Saturday, March 5th, check-in starting at 1. We're asking people to be there by 1:30, and the meeting will start promptly at 2. And again, the where is important as well, since this is different this year. We do have the virtual option, and we have the on-site option. The on-site option will be in groups by house district, which is something new from the past. So people that are used to going to the same location as they always have need to be reminded that that location is probably different this year. And then, as John also mentioned, we want to encourage people to register for caucus as soon as possible. It's on the website. I checked this morning and the link is right at the very top. So you don't have to go searching for it. So please do get registered and ask your people that you contact to get registered as quickly as they can. So that's our things that we're asking of our precinct organizers. As I said, it's flexible. You tailor it to your specific situation, and we're just trying to make sure you have the tools to help you be effective in that. All right, I think Amy's going to talk next a little bit about what some of those tools are.
Hi, everyone. As mentioned, I'm Amy Pascal. I'm the first vice chair. And I'm going to walk you through a little bit more detail on exactly what's available to help you with your outreach in terms of tools on VAN and documents on the website, etc. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this towards the end, but I wanted to make sure you all saw this. All these materials are going to be on the Precinct Organizer website. There's the link there. The password is blue 2020 wave with O's instead of zeros. That has been repeated in the chat a few times. If you could repeat that in the chat, Cindy, that would be great.
Will do.
These slides will also be on there. They're not there just yet because, well, we were making changes at the last minute. As might not surprise you. Okay, so what you will find on the website, this presentation, a complete set of step-by-step instructions. You've seen this before in the past if you've been a precinct organizer for a while. It's kind of the same instructions I put out the last couple of election cycles that walks you through VAN, how to do a search, how to put that search into minivan, how to print out a list of that search, those kinds of things. So hopefully that is helpful to you if you need a little refresher on how to do this stuff, because I know we all don't do it very often. And then we come back and we're like, what was that again? As I do when I was updating it. Also, there is a hard copy of the script that's been written. The script is also in VAN and is attached to the minivan campaign, and you can use it by going through all those instructions in the instruction set. But some people just like to have a hard copy of the script, and there's a PDF there for you to use. There's also some sample literature for lit drops if you want to do a lit drop. As John mentioned earlier, we did produce some lit in the party that we are going to do a separate targeted campaign with that lit, but we don't have hard copies printed for you guys because of budgeting reasons, but there are some soft copy documents there if you want to produce your own lit. You're more than welcome to do that. And then also there's going to be information about study hall. So we have study hall again for the next few weeks to refresh your memory. Study hall is a place where you can drop in and get help. Most people show up for help with VAN or minivan or various technical stuff, but you can get help on any precinct organizer topic. And Jackie Burhans, hopefully I said that right, Jackie, is going to be hosting that, and she will do her best to answer you. Okay, next slide, John. Okay, so we're just going to go over what is an outreach campaign, and this is a very high level outreach 1, 2, 3. You start by determining your target voters. Who are you going to contact? Determine what your message is. Determine your contact methods, and then contact your voters. Get the message out. So very high level, we're going to drill down on these things in the next few slides. So if you could go to the next slide, John. Okay, first, determine their target voters. Sometimes when we're doing a general election, that can be a hard question, but for caucus, it's not a hard question. It's all Democrats. And the date by which someone can affiliate and still go to caucus was February 11th, which was last Friday. So that date has passed. So we're just focusing now on people who are registered as Democrats. Okay, things get a little dicey in terms of redistricting. So I know people are asking a lot of questions about that, so I wanted to cover that a little bit here. So firstly, be aware that your 2021 precinct, as in before we did precinct redistricting, may cross new House district lines. So let me step back one. We're going to use your precinct from before precinct redistricting. So you are still the precinct organizer of your precinct you were in before. So this is your last task as a precinct organizer for that precinct. At caucuses, we are going to elect precinct organizers for the new precinct. Your precinct may be exactly the same, but in some cases it's not. So be aware that because of redistricting, your precinct may cross House district lines. This is not going to be true for the majority of people, but I know we have one precinct that is in 3 different House districts right now. So that leads to the excitement. Redistricting is a continuing process that we're getting daily information on. So I'll tell you, where do we stand right now? Currently, if you go up to the Secretary of State's voter registration site at govotecolorado.com and you look at the districts count, I think it's called County and Districts Information tab, that information is now completely correct as of, I think, Friday. So you can go and look up your information there, your personal information. So the county, the last remaining item is the precinct, and the county finished redistricting like about a week ago. And they have pushed that information up to the Secretary of State, and that's on the Secretary of State's website. It's not in Van yet. It's going to be in Van roughly February 18th, this coming Friday. More details on that. So the precinct numbers are out there, but as of this morning, the precinct maps are not there on the county website. So if you're like, okay, I don't know if my precinct boundaries have changed, you can't go and look it up on your map. The old maps are still there. But don't worry, you are doing outreach for your old precinct. Okay, so another important thing is that Van now has the current House district, and it has also the old House district, which I think they call in there, the label is 2011 to 2021 House district. True for your, Senate district also, all the districts, not the county commissioner yet, because that's local. I am assuming and waiting for confirmation that we will have the exact same kind of scenario once they update Van with respect to the precinct. There'll be the old one and the new one. I will keep you guys updated on that because I'm not 100% sure about that yet. Okay, I think that's everything on this slide. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, determine your message. So a script has been provided in Van. It's also, as I said previously, a PDF on the website. Remember, the script is only a guide. It's there to provide you with all the information you need. If you want to tweak it to your own purposes, that's fine. You know your voters, you know your precinct, adapt the script as you see fit. This is mainly so you know all the information that you need in case your voters ask about it, and so that you can give them the information. Number one thing, though, is to explain how caucus is different this year and how to attend, how to register. That Caucus 2022 website up on our website, that page tells you everything about caucus. So be sure to direct people there, especially if you're going to leave a message. It's kind of hard to, you can't leave a half-an-hour message and there's a lot of information, but you can direct them to that website and they can look up information there. Okay, next slide. Okay, determine your contact method. Here again, you have flexibility. Options are calling, texting, knocking on doors, and lit dropping. And maybe something else you can come up with. Facebooking. There's all kinds of options. Due to COVID, though, we are still advising against door knocking. Just, take that into consideration, but it's your call. You may want to use a combination of these methods. Not all voters in Van have a phone number at all. Not all of them have textable phones. Most of them don't have email addresses. I didn't list that one, email, as a method because for the most part, we don't have much in the way of email addresses in Van. So you may do something like, I'm going to text everybody that has a textable phone. I'm going to call everybody that has a landline only. And then I'm going to lit drop on the doors that don't have either. Or you might want to use a combination of methods. You might want to do a full lit drop and then text and call also. The most successful approach is multiple touches, multiple methods. But of course, you're constrained by your capacity and how big your precinct is. I personally have a really easy precinct. It's quite red, so that limits the number of bodies I have to deliver messages to. And it's also very compact and walkable. But your mileage may vary, you know your precinct. So make the call that works for you. Okay, next slide. I also have a husband that walks a lot, and I just give him a list and say, on your walk today, can you just drop these things? You probably don't have that. Okay, so available to you in van. Covering this again, there's a script there. There are searches there for various different ways of breaking down your target audience. There's a search for all Democrats, and by the way, you take this prefab search that's there and then you customize it to your precinct. And how to do that is in that set of step-by-step instructions. So this is referring to within your precinct, there's a search for all Democrats, Democrats with textable phones, Democrats with landlines, Democrats with any kind of phone if you want to call, and Democrats with no phone in case you just want to walk those. So those are your various options. You, of course, are more than welcome to make your own searches, however you want to do it. These are there for making your life easier, I hope, and giving you some tools. Okay, and then there's also minivan campaigns for calling, texting, and lit dropping. I personally am a big fan of minivan because it gives me the opportunity to mark off what I did and have it go directly into van so I know what contact I made. And it also gives me the opportunity to fix phone numbers. If like I call and it's obviously a wrong number, I can delete it and update it right there. So that's why I'm a big fan. I'll get to that message, Deborah, or question. That's why I'm a big fan of using minivan. Again, I repeat, you can find the step-by-step instructions on the precinct organizer website. Okay, Deborah asked a good question. What is the deadline as regards to registering for caucus? There really isn't one. Don't tell people that. And in fact, we really can't legally make people register ahead of time. We have to allow people to walk up in person on the day of. But we are trying to get as many people as possible to register ahead of time to help us with the credentialing for a hybrid caucus. It's a new and a brave new world for us. So we're trying to get as much done ahead of time as possible. But I think probably, and this is still TBD, but we may have an alternate registration method if it's within the last 24 hours. We have to figure that process out because we're going to be doing probably a lot of scrambling that morning. But please just drive people to get the registration done ASAP. We really would appreciate that. But as I said, we really can't cut people off. I mean, it's probably going to be once the meeting starts or something like that. We have to figure it out, maybe an hour before. I don't know. We have to nail down that process at the very, very end to figure out how we're going to do it. But we haven't quite figured that out yet.
And Amy, could I add just to
Go.
Supplement what you're saying, that we are encouraging everyone to register basically as soon as possible. There's no penalty for registering too early. And certainly everyone that's on this meeting today, it would be good if you have registered before you reach out to people so you can explain the process yourself if there are any questions that come up about it. So yeah, as Amy said, as soon as possible. There's not a hard, fast deadline, but we want people to register as quickly as they can.
Okay, so another question from Jackie is if someone registers and wants to back out, can they? Two things. I'm actually not worried if they just don't show up. that's not the end of the world to us. They just didn't show up. We are going to be marking people who attend, so we'll know the difference between registration and attending. However, what does concern me is someone might change their mind about their method of attending. So we need to figure out a process for that. Sorry, we don't have that figured out, but I think what we are going to do is have to have a separate form for that. You want to change from in-person to virtual or vice versa, we may have a separate form for that. I unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the method that we're using for registering has any nice way to modify or cancel your registration, which kind of sucks, but there we are. So I think probably we will have a separate way to just alter it. And if people don't show up, they don't need to cancel. I'm not worried about that personally. Okay, so next. Yeah, so reiterating, Katie says, we are responsible for our old precinct number and our old precinct residents. Yes, 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 yes. That is still your domain. The new precinct organizers for the new precincts, assuming there's a difference, will be elected at or appointed at caucus. Okay, I don't know if let me know, Cindy or Chandra or John, if there's a question I failed to address. Okay.
I think one of the questions that you might want to address is that they're talking about the fact that you do have new information for the new House districts in there. So do you just want them to go through the old districts to make those calls? I know that they've got some of that data now, so that's why it's in there.
I'm not sure who the they you're referring to. Van doesn't have it yet, but
Van has updated some of them, so I was just
Not
following
the
along
precinct.
with not with the precincts. Okay, that's
yeah,
perfect.
all
Thank
the
you.
other, so for all the other districts, House district, Senate district, not county commission, it says the old one and the new one. So the old one is labeled something like 2011 to 2021 House district, and then the new one is just House district. I'm guessing they're going to do a similar thing for precinct.
That's the only other one I saw. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Jason asked, what's the easiest way to find everyone in your precinct in Van to contact? That the step-by-step instructions go into great detail about that. And you can also attend study hall. I'm not going to go over in depth about how Van works today. All right, so some quick reminders. Van is at votebuilder.com. If you don't have a Van Action ID, which is what they call the login, you can use the precinct organizer website to request a Van ID. If you haven't been to training, there are recorded trainings. Typo. There are recorded trainings on the precinct organizer website. You can also go to study hall. You can also seek guidance and technical assistance from your House district chair. If you don't know who your House district chair is, there's a list on the precinct organizer website. Okay, next page. John, can we go to the next page? Okay, so I just repeated myself about where the precinct organizer website is. Important information, keep it handy, bookmark it. Now, what I'm going to do, I thought I saw a hand, but I think it went away. What I'm going to do now, John, if you can give up control of the screen, I am going to take you guys on a little tour of the website.
I think I've stopped sharing. I think.
Yeah, it's on me now. I'm
Okay.
a little, I got to find the bleepity thing. Okay. I'm just going to share the whole desktop. Can't find it. Okay. So you should be seeing, I will make this bigger. You should be seeing the website right now.
We
Front
do.
page. Okay,
We
great.
do.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys just a little bit of a tour so you guys know what it looks like. If you haven't been there, this is our first page. We have a section here called Election 2022. That there's a page here for the just general information, FAQs, and for the timeline. There's a timeline both for the election and for the whole caucus process and caucus and assembly process. And there are pages for the candidates that we know about so far. So I'm just going to show you the caucus page. Feel free to explore all this stuff. Please do. As the precinct organizer, hello. Great. I've been there 1,000 times in the last couple of days and never had a problem. Okay, what's going on here? Oops. Okay. I think I managed to confuse it. One of my talents. Let's try again. Okay, here's the caucus page. All right, so as precinct organizer, please make sure you understand as much about caucus as possible because it's your job to help your voters understand what's going on with caucus. So there's just some general information about the caucus at the top, you know, who, what, when, where, why. Well, actually, there's a section here about why. It has a place to update your registration, which actually you can't do now, so I should probably update that. The deadline to affiliate was last Friday. Okay, registration is now open. It explains a little bit about registration. Couple things. We are really encouraging people to register at least 24 hours in advance, but legally we can't make them, but don't tell people that. If you attend in person, we are asking people to wear masks and show proof of vaccination. Virtual attendees are going to need to install the Zoom application on their device and create a free Zoom account using the email address they plan to use at caucus. Nobody mentioned that yet, so I wanted to mention that. And there's a link to go and read all about it. Also, you know, that big registration button, please register now. There's a little pitch for some donations. All of this stuff is costing us money. And then there's a long section about caucus and all kinds of stuff about it that we've mostly covered already. And there's in-person site list. So when you're calling your voters, you should know what House district they're in, and so that you can direct them to these sites if they want to go in person. And you can also direct them to look at their registration at govotecolorado.com and find out what their House district is if they don't know. Okay, so under resources is the precinct organizer website, and I put the link in the chat several times. We do have a password. Put the password in the link. You can always save it. By the way, I am aware that this is not high security, but it's better than nothing. Okay, so we have just a little blurby. Welcoming you to being a precinct organizer and giving a list of information sources, places, groups you can join, websites you can go to, how to subscribe and unsubscribe to the precinct organizer email list. You should all be on it, but if you need to change your email address or something, you can use that. Facebook sites you might want to look at. So this is the section of most importance to you guys at this point. There is a whole section about 2020 voter outreach for caucus, sorry, 2022. Explains a little bit about caucus. Here is where you can find this presentation, which we'll put up there, both the slideshow and the recorded video, the recording, as soon as we have it processed, will be up there. The step-by-step instructions are there. The script is there. There are some sample literature if you want to generate some literature. There's also information about joining study hall. It's going to be Sundays, February 13th, which is today, the 20th and the 27th from 2 to 3:30. So each Sunday you have an opportunity to go. All you have to do to show up there is to click on this link, join here, and use the password EPCO PO. There is also a place where you can request a van action ID. That's a login, FYI. It is a two-stage process. So you request from us, then we send you an invitation, which you need to act on within 48 hours or it expires. So just be aware of that. It is a process. And then there's also a way to find your House district chair. If you need help getting a voter list, if you want someone to make one for you, talk to your House district chair, or learn how to do it yourself and go to study hall. That's what I recommend. There is some more stuff here. It is admittedly, well, there's no training right now to register for. This is a bit old, but the recorded trainings are in this section, recorded trainings. They are kind of old, but all the same concepts apply. It talks about how to use van, how to use minivan, those kinds of things. There's some documents of the handbook, the state handbook for a precinct organizer. It's pretty generic. There's how to find your districts. There's a link to go to van that just goes to votebuilder.com. And there's some manuals for van and minivan in there, and some communications information and some graphics. I haven't updated that recently, but we do have some nice graphics for Get-Out-To-Caucus, which is Take Us Blue. I will put those up there so you have those available if you want to use them. Okay, so that's a quick tour of the website, just so you know where it is and how to find things, and hopefully went a little bit over, but hopefully, okay. I don't know if I have what I have to do. Okay. Did you get the share back?
Yeah, we're good. We're
Okay,
all looking
all
good.
right.
So there is a question, Amy. Nancy asks, if my email address has changed since I set up my van, can I change it on the website or do I have to set up a new account?
You're going to have to set up a new account in van. Yeah. I mean, you can request a new van IG, and all that is sending an email to Precinct Organizer Administration, which is basically Cindy, and theoretically me, but she does all the work. So just let her know what change you need and she'll make it happen. She's awesome.
And I do want to remind folks that the study halls start in 12 minutes. So if you are interested in going to study halls, you could do that. In fact, I'll go to that slide next.
Can you also, Chandra just put in a blurb there for, there is going to be a study, which a training, which apologize, that's not on the materials, but I will get it on the website, is that
Yes.
there's going to be a training that people can go to if they want to attend caucus virtually, but they need to like get the lay of the land in terms of the technical stuff. There's that training on March 3rd. So we'll get that advertised more widely and get it on the Precinct Organizer website.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Chandra, for putting that up. I mentioned it earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Was
no,
busy
it's good.
answering
No.
questions.
It's no. It bears repeating. And so if folks are having trouble and they want to participate virtually, we want to make sure that can happen. So it is relatively intuitive, though. I mean, I think many of us could be able to figure it out. But if you need that extra training, maybe I could recognize. I'll just share screen and go to put Jackie Burhans on the spot and ask if she'd like to say something about study hall. Jackie?
Hi, it's me. Are you sharing something?
I'm going to try to share. I lost. Oh, here I am. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
There we go. There we
Okay,
go.
Jackie, floor is yours.
Okay, so I volunteered to do these study halls. They will be done by Zoom. So if you heard all of this and you're like, oh my God, I just started using Van, or what's Van? Or I don't remember how to use Van because it's been a while since I've done it. Come to the study hall. It's pretty informal. Ask questions. I'll demonstrate what I can. If you ask me something I don't know the answer to, I will get back to you with the answer. but it's just a way to have sort of somebody by your side while you're trying this for yourself. And, we need to get going pretty quick on reaching out to our voters. So if you can join me today, even just for a few minutes, you don't have to stay for the whole time. I will be here the whole time. So if you join late, that's good too. And the link is in the chat, so grab hold of that. I also made a short URL because I find these Zoom URLs to be extraordinarily long. And I am having trouble copying and pasting out of chat these days. So I made it bit.ly/EPCDem-study. So I will type that in here as well, because you might be able to write that down a little bit easier. Same URL every Sunday from 2 to 3:30. Come on down informally. You want to try practicing with Ann how to get your lists, how to, select just those with phone numbers, all of the things that Amy said that she has great instructions on how to do. We can actually try them, see how well they work for us. And if there are any challenges with her instructions, we'll let her know and figure out the right way to do it. So that's all. See you guys in a bit.
Yeah, please do let me know if there's challenges with any of this stuff. I dropped my email address in here. If stuff doesn't make sense, whatever, I might have screwed it up, so hopefully not, but I'm putting my email address in here again.
Okay, while Amy does that, I will make one other small pitch. We're organizing a party-directed or party-organized lit drop next weekend. We have a shift in the morning, a shift in the afternoon, and the following weekend. These are volunteers, not precinct organizers, but others who have said that they'd want to volunteer and drop lit. And we're going to focus on those parts of the community that have been as part of our outreach effort where we haven't had as much representation as we'd like, proportional to how many Democrats that we have. So the next weekend we'll be focusing in the Hillside neighborhood. If anyone wants to join in the party lit drops, please reach out to me. I'm organizing those, but I don't want you to feel compelled to do that at the loss of your efforts in your own precincts. Your own precincts take priority, so stay focused there. But in your copious spare time, if you'd like to join me on a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon and drop some lit, please reach out to me, and I would be happy to include you in that effort. So I'll put my number in the chat, and I think we have just a few minutes if there are any other questions. Yep, I see my number, and I'll even add my phone as well. So call, text me, and please join as able. Any questions? All right. Amy or Cindy, is there anything you want to cover? Well, we will give you back 5 minutes so you can get ready if you so decide to join us in study hall. Thank you for what you do. We're really excited about this election cycle, and it gets kicked off at caucus. So we'll see you all there, either in person or virtually. Thanks very much for joining. Take care.